Can you hear me okay? Testing 1 2 3, testing 1 2 3. Please let me know, type in the chat if you can hear me okay. We're going to start in a few minutes, just waiting for people to join. Hold tight, everyone. We still have people joining. Going to give them a couple of minutes. Joining now. Okay. Hey everyone, we're going to get started. Just type in the chat that you can see me and you can hear me. Can everyone hear me? Can everyone see me? Okay. Okay, we're going to get started. Hey everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening around the world. We've got people joining us from different parts of the globe. I'm very excited today to talk about this subject. The job market is crazy right now. There's opportunities out there. It's challenging, it's frustrating. But if you know how to navigate it, you could do okay. So I have this presentation today. I'm going to share my screen with you guys. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Hold on. We're going to record it, and then I'm going to share my screen, and then we're going to start. Okay. So what I want to do today is talk about the event first. We're going to be on for an hour. There are so many things that we can talk about, but I'm limiting it to just a few subjects today. I'm going to give a little introduction on myself. What's interesting is there's so much information about job search out there. There's so much information from people who are not qualified, who are giving information that's not necessarily accurate. We are in the trenches every day, seeing jobs being posted, applications, rejections, etc. So I want to give a little overview of my background. We're going to talk about the state of the economy and the job market. What does it really mean? What does a comprehensive job search really mean? We'll talk a little bit about how we help people with their job search, but the majority of this event is going to be focused on Q&A, your Q&A. So what I want is during the course of this presentation, I want you to put your questions, comments in the chat, and I will get to them, as many as I can during the presentation. We're also going to talk about some future live events. Right now, we have, this is our first LinkedIn live event. The goal is to have a weekly live Q&A each Wednesday at this time. Okay, once again, my name is Ken Zwerdling. I'm the founder and CEO of JobSearchCoaching.net. You know, when I first started looking for a job in 1984, there was no internet, there were no job boards, there was no LinkedIn. We found jobs through the New York Times Classified. I went on 100 interviews, got rejected 99 times. My first job I ended up getting at Goldman Sachs on Wall Street, making $12,000 a year and taking 2 trains and a subway to get to work every day. We sent resumes by mail with a stamp. And then we had to wait by the phone because we did not have answering machines. So I've got 40 years of experience. Yes, I'm turning 65 this year. Sometimes that's difficult for me to say, but it's true. I spent 18 years in various Fortune 500 companies. I spent 25 years as an entrepreneur. I started 4 companies, including 7 years running a global staffing and recruiting firm, working for the Fortune 1000, placing people all over the world in Europe, Africa, Latin America, Asia. In the last several years, we have secured over 5,000 interviews. We generated $53 million of compensation for our clients. We've reviewed over 500,000 resumes, physically wrote over 1,000 resumes and LinkedIn profiles. I've written resumes for people that make $1 million a year. I used to write resumes, I used to write business plans for Fortune 500 companies. We have reviewed hundreds of thousands of job descriptions, performed hundreds of thousands of job applications, physical applications for our clients. We've worked across 50 different industries in 25 different countries. Our average clients are usually between 100 and 500,000, and in some up to $1 million. Now, the reason I showed this slide is because there's so many people giving advice who are just not qualified, and it's so important that you vet the people who are giving you opinions, and the opinion of one is not necessarily accurate. We are in the trenches every day. Now, we're going to talk about the state of the economy. This is not a forum for political discussions, but I would be remiss if I didn't say what's happening in the world is affecting the job market. What's the state of the market right now? So I've been tracking daily for the last year the numbers of new jobs being posted every single day on LinkedIn in the US and in the EU. So on average, there's about 220, 230,000 new jobs posted every day. This past week, that number popped to over 300,000 in one day, and it went over 300,000 more than one day, actually 2 days. The problem is that, yes, there are a lot of jobs being posted, but the whole process of interviewing, from the time you apply to the time you get hired, has changed. The economy has changed it. What used to take 2 or 3 interviews can now take 4, 5, 6 interviews. We've had clients go on 7 interviews, 8 interviews, get flown to headquarters locations, meet with entire teams, and then some came in second. What used to take 2, 3 weeks could now take 4, 5, 6 weeks. You will notice that there are a lot of, when you're applying to a job on LinkedIn, sometimes it says how many people have actually applied. There is tremendous competition for these roles, tremendous. So what does that mean? People have to make sure they are applying to the right jobs, not where you think you would be a fit, where you must be a fit. And when I say in this economy, you need to have 90% of the requirements, which means when you're looking at roles to apply to, they must fit the 5 criteria. Variations of titles, industry, years of experience, salary, and geography, on-site, hybrid, remote. If you're thinking about applying to a position and it doesn't fit these 5 criteria, you're not getting the job. You may get a first interview. Recruiter may call you. You may get a second interview. But when it comes down to the end between you and the other person, the person that fits that criteria, specifically, not just the technical skills, but the industry skills, that person is going to get hired. Now, there's a lot of discussion about published jobs and unpublished jobs. Let me give you the straight skinny on that. All jobs that are 90% of all jobs that are $200,000 and below are published in the public domain on the various job boards, on company career page websites. When you get above that level, many of those are unpublished. So don't think that you're missing all of these opportunities because they're not published. They are published. You're just not looking for them correctly. So remember something. When you're looking for roles, it's not just about your ability to find the right roles. It's also about creating the foundation so the roles can actually find you. Now, here is the biggest issue concerning us right now. It's the Middle East and oil prices. and tariffs and uncertainty. So right now, let me back up. Last year, there were small numbers of jobs being created each month. Yes, in the prior administration, there were more jobs being created, 100, 120,000 jobs. Last month, there were 90,000 jobs lost. There was a net gain of 0 for the entire year. However, I've seen some ADP numbers this morning, actually, and they're expecting 50, 60,000 new jobs posted, not new jobs hired, people hired in the month of March. Now, with the high oil prices, that creates all kinds of problems. Price of gas, price of goods, logistics, supply chains, products can't get to market, people are not buying products, which means companies' revenues are hurting. Their bottom line is shrinking. And what are they doing? They're going to lay people off. So depending upon what happens with this war in the Middle East, it is going to have a huge impact on the job market. So the job market right now is stagnant. Not a lot of hiring, not a huge amount of firing, although yesterday Oracle just announced thousands of layoffs. When there is uncertainty, companies sit on the sidelines. But you may say, but wait a second, there were 300,000 new jobs posted. Yes. People applied. Yes. People are getting interviews. Yes. But the offers are not being extended as greatly as they were before. So if, in my opinion, now I am not an economist, I'm not a geopolitician, but if the Americans go into Iran on the ground, this war will last, could be a year. High oil prices, supply chains getting disrupted, companies are going to start laying people off. The problem is the position changes every day. One day they're going to negotiate. The next day they're not. It keeps changing. When there is uncertainty, there is inaction. There could be layoffs. The size and scope of when there was COVID. It could happen. Same as in 2008, 2009, during the Great Recession. We are all hoping that they resolve this issue. But if they don't, it could be serious implications in the job market. Right now, in America, there are major immigration problems, visa problems, sponsorship problems. It will be almost impossible to get a visa sponsorship in the United States right now. Now, I just heard yesterday in the EU, they're putting up this portal so they can hire people from outside of the EU because they can't find qualified candidates. It's an EU jobs portal. I haven't really studied it, but it's an interesting phenomenon. Okay. Even though it's uncertain, there are still areas of opportunity. You have to know where to look. There are certain industries that are doing very well. There's a lot of hiring going on. And there's also industries that are not doing well, and it might make sense not to pursue them. So let's talk about that. Any position that either adds revenue to the company, sales, business development, account management, customer success, revenue generating positions, or cost reduction positions are hiring. In the technology space, SaaS tech, I don't think there's many jobs at the enterprise level. I mean, we're talking about Oracle and Microsoft and Meta and Google and Salesforce and SAP, massive numbers of layoffs. The biggest areas of opportunities are not the enterprise level organizations. They're the smaller companies, the early stage, well-funded companies. Also, healthcare is hiring, medical device hiring, pharma hiring. Now that would mean sales, operations, account management, marketing, product development, etc. One of the things that I am seeing across the board is transformation projects, business transformation, change management, process improvement. And now I'm going to even take it a step further. They're AI related. Okay, so you have tariffs, which cause higher prices. You have the war, which causes the uncertainty. And you have AI that is happening all at the same time, taking out steps and processes and eliminating the need for certain jobs. And that is today. Where's AI going to be in 5 years? Should you be pursuing a role that in 5 years your job is going to be eliminated? There's also a lot of opportunity in the IT space, in cloud, infrastructure, architecture, software development. There are so many jobs out there. And a lot of these can be also done fully remote. Now, I've been involved in AI. I use personally ChatGPT, but AI meaning ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Copilot. I use it for productivity. I use it to take out processes. I use it for marketing and content creation. It is not a replacement for me. It makes me better and more efficient. So skills in AI today is so important. Now, there are certifications in AI, but there's also certificates, which you can get on LinkedIn Learning, because of your resume, in your professional summary, in your individual positions, in your accomplishments and achievements, in your technology skills, if they are in there, you're going to come up higher in the search results, knowing how to use these technologies. Again, if your role helps increase top line, reduce bottom line, that's where the areas of opportunities are. Now, there are other areas, but for the purpose of this, presentation, these are the main areas. Now, there are a lot of challenging areas. Hold on a minute. Can everybody see me? Can everybody hear me? I got some comments that I might have frozen. Okay, all good. Challenging areas. Positions that are affected: tariffs, AI, geopolitics, war in the Middle East. Okay. Very few jobs right now in the nonprofit sector and obviously NGOs, because funding was cut. Funding was cut for universities. Funding was cut across the board. So getting a job in nonprofits and NGOs right now is very difficult because they don't have funding. I see more people looking for jobs in training and learning and development. Why? Because AI has taken over that role. It has made it more efficient. There are fewer and fewer and fewer training and learning and development roles, especially, curriculum development. So if you're in that space, it might be time to pivot. Very few jobs. And if you do apply to these jobs, there could be hundreds of people who have applied. Now, I also see and hear that this is one of the most challenging times for recent college graduates in the last 10 years. Very few roles. AI has taken over some of those entry-level roles. So for college graduates, it is definitely a challenge. Also, lower-level marketing jobs, content creation, graphic design can be taken over by AI. It's amazing that you could, put together content that is accurate. Images, graphic design can be done through AI. So if you're pursuing opportunities in these areas, number one, there are so few. And number two, that is even going to shrink even more with AI. The adage of Moore's law, which is technology changes drastically every 18 months. Well, in the areas of AI, that rate of change is accelerating more than it has ever been before. Oil and gas, not a lot of production going on. A lot of engineers, oil drillers, platforms have all been laid off. The pivot is to other energies, renewable energy, environmental. Also, funding has been cut for climate change, solar, wind. I also see a tremendous amount of layoffs and/or people looking for work in talent acquisition. Now, talent acquisition is internal, external recruiters is another thing. Recruiters are struggling right now because companies don't need to pay 20-25% when they can post in the public domain, get people in their funnel, and do the screening process internally. But companies are not hiring as many people. So there is not a need for so many talent acquisition people. There are jobs that are HR/talent. There's more opportunities in HR than there is in talent. But here's another thing about HR. There's, HR VPs, human resource business partners, there's CHROs. They're looking for, how do I say this? They're looking for people who have the SHRM certifications, the PHR certifications, because if there's fewer roles, they're going to take the people with those certifications. If you don't have them, it's going to be very difficult for you to get a role because there's so many people competing. Same thing with project management, program management. If you have a PMP, that's great. If you don't, it's going to be very hard to compete with those people who have PMPs. Anywhere processes can be automated, financial analysis, accounting, those opportunities are shrinking and they will continue to shrink. So it's not just about finding the job today. It's about where that job is going to be a few years from now if you're going to get eliminated. Now, everyone has this idea of what a dream job is. That's great. But in this economy, you have to rethink. There are clients of ours that make $250,000, $350,000 a year. There's not going to be an adjustment to those salaries. There's going to be a reset, and the floor is going to be lower. You may not be able to get those salaries that you are so used to, and the bonuses that you are so used to. So my perception and my opinion is this going to last forever? No. But instead of looking for your dream job, the key is to look for a job to help ride out this storm. Because if you don't adjust either your salary levels, your title levels, or your geographic options, you may be looking for a very long time. Now, the other challenging area is the shortage that may come if the war escalates. Companies will pause hiring. I have seen jobs being posted, people applying, submitting resumes, and not hearing a thing. Companies are sitting on stacks of resumes because they are unsure. You know, the manufacturing industry, there's no reshoring of manufacturing jobs. There are so many high-level chief operating officers in manufacturing out of work, and there are no jobs for them. So companies are going to pause. I'm hoping it's just a pause and there are not layoffs that are coming. Okay, now, one of the things that people get wrong about job search is not understanding all of the pieces of the puzzle. You know, in my day, we submitted resumes by mail with a stamp. Today, everything is a digital environment. Submitting information, communicating in a digital environment is key. So there are pieces of the puzzle. Your resume, your cover letter, the job board registrations, and yes, there are many job boards, but really only 4 or 5 matter. LinkedIn is by far light years ahead of everybody else. I am not a big fan of Indeed. Indeed is used more for companies seeking applicants rather than applicants seeking companies. The Ladders is good for over $100,000 a year jobs, and ZipRecruiter is good for jobs that are less than 100,000. There are specific industry boards which are good, but 4 or 5, really, that's all that matters. So again, it's setting up your profiles on these boards, but also LinkedIn is, your resume is the most important thing. LinkedIn is the second most important thing. I've been studying LinkedIn for 20 years. The front end, the back end, paid versions, LinkedIn Recruiter, Sales Navigator, all of that. Most people, almost all people, have a LinkedIn profile, but they're invisible because they didn't fill out their profile correctly and companies can't find them. So it's about optimizing your profile. I mean, did you know that if you had a top 25 list of companies and you went into your LinkedIn profile and you looked up that company and you checked the box in the About section that says follow that company, and then you check the box that says I'm interested in working at that company, when a recruiter is searching LinkedIn's database for you, you come up higher in the search results because you check those 2 boxes. Not putting dates on your graduation of education, you become invisible because it appears you don't have a college degree. The other areas that people are struggling with is preparing for interviews. Interviewing with an external recruiter is different than interviewing with an internal recruiter or talent acquisition or hiring manager or department head or CEO of a small company. Use AI as a tool. Help generate potential interview questions based upon the job description in your resume. Recruiters, you know, there are a lot of recruiters struggling. The big recruiters, the Korn Ferries, the Heidrick and Struggles, the Michael Pages, the Robert Halfs, they have so many applicants and not enough roles. You try to contact somebody and see if they're going to get back to you. You can't get a call back. So I don't put recruiters at the top of the importance list. Now, networking is important, but it's important to use it in the right way and when to introduce it. Coldly calling your connections is not beneficial. Here's the best way. If you apply to a job, and after you apply, you see that you have a connection that works at that company, you want to contact that person and let them know you applied and see if they could walk your resume down to HR. Coming from an internal referral has more impact than coming from the outside. Okay. Real quick, before we get to the Q&A, and there are lots of questions in here, which we're going to go over. So real quick, our company's been in business for 8 years. We offer 2 kinds of service. We do something called full job search management. What does that mean? We manage your job search from beginning to end. We put all the pieces together, your resume, cover letter, job boards, LinkedIn profile. Then we actually physically manage the research, the applications, the interview prep, and offer letters of employment and salary negotiation. Full job search management. If you're interested in that, you can message me, DM me, email me, or go to our website, jobsearchcoaching.net, work with us. What we have started to do is something called Job Search Foundation Rebuild. What does that mean? There are many people who want to run their search on their own. Great, but they still haven't put all the pieces together. So we can put the pieces together for you, and then you can manage it yourself. Again, if you're interested in this, please just DM me or go to our website, jobsearchcoaching.net, Job Search Foundation. Okay, we're going to get to the Q&A part. So let me take a look at some of these questions. Let me go back. Okay. Let's talk about how AI is used from an applicant's perspective, or it can be used, and a company's perspective. Companies are using AI to screen resumes. If they get 1,000 resumes, they can't possibly have a human do it. So they're introducing AI to screen out. And if some of you may have seen it, there are AI chatbot interviews, right? It's an automation. I don't like it, but it's a fact of life. Don't fight it. Figure out how to use it to your advantage. From an applicant's point of view, if you have LinkedIn Career Premium, LinkedIn has AI tools that allows you to not just search for open roles, it will automatically present you with roles that match your background. So you can see positions that you haven't seen through normal search. Again, the best way to use AI is in interview prep. Companies, will conduct these interviews, but you could have dozens of potential questions and you can practice. So it's not that I'm not a fan. I highly do not recommend customizing resumes for each application. You may have gotten lots of people's opinions about that. The goal is to effectively capture your background and experience and find jobs that match your background. Don't try to fit your background into the position, which means, again, back to the 5 criteria. Okay, let's see. Let's talk about fictitious job posts and scams. So I'm fortunate that I can spot scams. People reaching out on LinkedIn, they're not real. People cutting and pasting other individuals' signatures into their email. The first giveaway is no respectable company and no recruiter is going to use a Gmail address. If people are saying you're wonderful for this position, you say, hey, that's great, send me the job description. If they can't send you the job description, the position is fake. Now, why they're doing fake jobs, I don't really understand. I've seen where actually people got a fictitious job offer because they wanted the applicant to buy equipment from their vendor. Ding, 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 red flag. Okay, so be aware that there are scams out there. Hold on a second. Yes, so we talked about this before, that finding a contact inside the company. So it is still recommended to physically apply and then engage your contact in that company, because they're going to ask you to apply. So you may as well apply, contact your contact inside that company, give them a link to the job description and say, hey, I just applied. Okay. And then they can take it from there. So don't get them involved too early in the process. There's so many people, chat, that are so worried about their own jobs that they may not have the time and or energy to help you with yours. All right, hold on, looking at some other questions. Okay. In certain industries, there is an unlimited number of jobs, especially if you factor in fully remote jobs. On average, we apply to 20, 25 jobs per client per day. Some cases, there's 50. We can't get to them all. But in some cases, at higher levels or in certain industries, there's only 4 or 5. Understanding how to search for these jobs, how to use the filtering system, how to use titles and not use titles, how to use industry and not industry, how to use the root word, account management, sales, and then search by industry, how to use, if you do that, you'll get manager, director, and vice president. If you only search on vice president jobs, you may be filtering out the others. There are jobs out there. You just have to know how to search for them. Okay, hold on. Let's see. Okay. One of the things I want to talk about also is the issue of your resume. And we can have an entire session just on resumes. The resume has to serve multiple audiences. The 25-year-old something HR person who is going to skim and scan. Personally, I feel that the internal talent acquisition processes at these companies are broken. You've got people reviewing resumes that have no experience in the field. I've had clients that have had PhDs in artificial intelligence. The person reviewing is making a decision on whether to interview you or not. They shouldn't be doing that, but they are. They are inexperienced. They are unprofessional. They are not getting back to you. They are not keeping you informed. So a lot of these systems and processes are broken, which means you always need to follow up. The talent acquisition HR person may not read your entire resume, but the hiring manager is gonna. If they're gonna, if the position is $100,000, $150,000, $200,000, they're gonna spend the time and read the extra page. So don't get hung up on the resume needs to be 2 pages. Take the train of thought. It is better to have more and have it not be read than have less and have the reader wonder, is that all there is? 3 pages to 4 pages, in some cases, it is the sweet spot. If you're in certain industries, education, pharmaceutical, clinical trial research, and you're published, we've written resumes that are 10 pages, but usually 3 or 4 pages is the sweet spot. Okay. Anybody else with any last questions before I wrap up? Okay. Now, the world we are living in, the job market that we are living in, is not normal. When are we going to get back to normal? I don't know. You can do everything right and still not get the job. But what you have to do is be persistent every single day, finding jobs that are 2 days old, 1 day old, 24 hours old, not 2 or 3 weeks old. Looking for a job is a very time-consuming process. That is why people hire us to manage the entire search for them, because this is what we do, so you don't have to. You have to deal with people who are inexperienced, sorry to say it, incompetent. You're going to get constant rejection. It is a fact, but it is how you handle that rejection. You know, I talk to people who say they applied to, 25 jobs last month. You should be applying to 25 jobs a day, not 25 jobs a month. You're not applying to enough jobs. You get rejected, move on. You get through the process, you're going to get ghosted. I have had clients who actually went through 6 interviews. They're waiting for the job offer to come in their email, and they got ghosted and they never heard from the company again. So again, it's not about what happens to you, it's how you react to what happens to you. You get back on the horse and you keep doing it, because the more positions you apply to, the more first interviews you get, the more second interviews you get. Some will move through the process, some will drop off, and new ones will join. Always, always, always follow up. If a company says they're going to make a decision by X date, or they're going to let you know about the next round, and they don't, follow up. They drop the ball. We just had something this week where the internal recruiter somebody was working with, got fired. and nobody was taking over the rec. And if you didn't follow up, they never would have known that that was happening. So, you know, in wrapping everything up, you know, I've seen all different kinds of economies. I've gone from, you know, the paper world to the digital world. Study these technologies. If you're missing skills, get them. LinkedIn Learning is a phenomenal platform to get certificates in various areas. You know, do you need another certification if you have many? What's out there now? If you've been out of work for 6 months, the statistics say the people who have been out of work for 6 months or more is the greatest amount in the last 10 years. If you're not getting interviews, it's always because of one of two reasons. You're not applying to the right jobs, or they don't like your resume. Your resume is the single most important piece of your job search. If you don't get it right, you don't move through the process. If you do, you get through the entire process. That's why we are expert resume writers, and we're offering help to put the pieces together. But if you don't have the time, we can do full job search management. I have made a recording of this event. My goal is to have weekly events every Wednesday. You'll get invitations. I thank everybody so much for joining. I hope I was of help, and good luck to everybody in their search. Have a great day, everyone.